Hello folks, this is Granny's GodPod number 85, getting to grips with the Revelation part 1. I don't remember ever hearing anyone preach on the Revelation. It all seemed above my pay grade to understand, and people having different views about it didn't help. For example, there are 3 methods of interpretation: allegorical, where the visions represent something else and aren't literal; historical, where it aligns with things that have already happened; and literal, that is, a prophetic view of happenings in the future. In Revelation 1 verse 3, it says, "Blessed is the one who reads aloud and those who hear this prophecy." And in Revelation 22 verse 18, Jesus says he testifies to everyone who hears the words of the prophecy of this book. So since the Revelation is bookended with being called a prophecy, that's good enough for me. The basic structure is a series of visions given to John, who is told to write down what he sees. The first vision is of Christ. Chapters 1 to 3 cover the church age, which is where we are now. Chapters 2 to 3 are the letters Jesus sends to 7 churches. Chapters 4 to 19 describe what will happen after this, up to Christ's second coming. Chapters 6 to 18 describe the 7-year tribulation, or times of trouble, which is split into 2 parts of 3.5 years, as outlined by the prophet Daniel. These difficult times happen because God, the Father Almighty, wants to wake up unbelievers before the day of judgment. Chapter 20 then covers the 1,000-year millennial reign, the lake of fire, and the great white throne of judgment. The final chapters, 21 and 22, describe the new heaven and new earth and the future life for believers. Jesus' letters are to 7 literal churches in Asia Minor, which follow, if you look at a map, a clockwise pattern of names, from Ephesus up to Smyrna, then Pergamos, and around to Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea. All 7 letters begin with a special title for Jesus. All are addressed to the elders of each church. All begin with Jesus knowing their works. All contain either a commendation, a complaint, or both. All close with an allusion to Jesus' second coming and a special promise or reward to the overcomers, those believers who overcome persecution. All close with the same challenge: he who has an ear, let him hear. Only Smyrna and Philadelphia are not told to repent of anything, but each church has spiritual relevance for issues for believers today. In an online sermon, Pastor Gary Hamrick of Cornerstone Chapel in the US outlines a historical significance to the church letters, in that each one represents a distinct time period in church history, with Ephesus from 33 to 100 AD, Smyrna 100 to 312 AD, Pergamos 312 to 606 AD, Thyatira 606 to 1517 AD, Sardis 1517 to 1750 AD, and Philadelphia 1750 AD to the rapture. The Church of Laodicea stands accused of having no believers, and will be overcome by liberal theology from 1900 until the tribulation. The reasons for these time periods are explained in his online series of sermons on the Revelation. The letters to the churches are possibly the easiest part of the Revelation to understand. The biggest problem I found in understanding the rest of the Revelation is that it is not written as we in the Western world would expect, that is, in chronological order. Often we are given one description and then another description from a different perspective, and sometimes the descriptions dart back and forth, in effect describing things more than once, which doesn't make it easy to follow. The second of John's visions in chapters 4 to 5 is perhaps the most contested one. John sees a door opened in the heavens, and he is invited to come up here. This is the point where the pre-tribulation rapture is believed to happen, when the church of believers who are still alive are snatched up into the heavens, caught up, in the Greek harpazo, together with the dead believers in the clouds, as it says in 1 Thessalonians 4:17. Opinions vary as to whether a rapture happens before the tribulation, mid-tribulation, or post-tribulation at Jesus' second coming. Some reasons for believing in a pre-tribulation rapture are 1 Thessalonians 1 verse 10 says, Jesus delivers us from the wrath to come, the wrath being the tribulation. The word church is mentioned 19 times in the first 3 chapters of the Revelation, and then not again until chapter 22 verse 16, when the tribulation is over. The door standing open in the heavens here is allowing the church to go up, as the only other time John recounts the vision of the heavens standing open is in chapter 19 verse 11, when Jesus is coming down with the saints. Logic says we must be in heaven during the tribulation in order to come down and return with Christ after the tribulation, as in Revelation 19 verse 14, Enoch's prophecy in Jude verses 14 to 15, and 1 Thessalonians 4 verses 16 to 18. The invitation to come up here only occurs once more in the resurrection and ascension of the 2 witnesses in Revelation 11 verse 12. John hears a voice like the sound of a trumpet, and the voice of God is likened to a trumpet, a sound associated with the dead being raised in 1 Corinthians 15 verse 52, and the trumpet of God in 1 Thessalonians 4 verse 16. Another point is in chapter 19 verse 7. The church is invited as the bride to join the bridegroom at the wedding feast. What bride who had been through 7 years of the equivalent of assault and battery in the tribulation would look forward to the arrival of her bridegroom? Even Lot and Noah were taken out of the situation, not protected but put through it. One last point. We are told to stay alert because we don't know the day nor the hour, for example in Matthew 25 verse 12. But if the rapture happens mid or post-tribulation, we would be able to calculate when it would happen. Many viewpoints exist about the rapture. When it happens is not a salvation issue, so best to do your own research. John is taken up to heaven to be shown what happens after the church age. He describes God's throne and the one on his right hand holding a scroll with 7 seals, an ancient practice to seal legal documents. As one seal is broken, another section of the scroll is unravelled. A mighty angel asks, "Who is worthy to open the scroll?" And John weeps because no one is found worthy. So who will continue the story? That's in part two. See you then.